Thank you. My name is DeChristopher. I'm a founder of the Climate Disobedience Center and also a member of Climate Action Rhode Island here in this state. And I'm excited to be here today following the leadership of these young people standing all around me and the young people all across this country who have really refocused the political discourse around climate change in this country on the Green New Deal. And I've been a climate activist for a long time in a lot of different roles around the country. And there's something unique about this political opportunity that these young folks have created at this point. Because for decades, we've had this growing rift between the folks who have really seriously considered the reality of the climate crisis and internalized what that really means for us, and the folks who haven't, for various reasons. Because they're being paid not to, because it's too scary, because it's too complicated, for whatever reasons. And the bulk of our society is on that side that hasn't really seriously grappled with this issue. And the history of climate advocacy in this country has almost entirely been a history of those folks who have seriously grappled with this issue coming over to try to meet the folks who haven't grappled with it where they're at and find a common ground that those folks are comfortable with. And so we've only ever had completely inadequate climate solutions in this country that have consistently failed to do anything meaningful to address this crisis. And time again, we've got this long history of failed attempts of folks who understand what an existential crisis we're in terms of climate change, who have ventured into this sort of void in between that reality of the climate crisis and the irreality of those ignoring it. And they've ventured into this sort of mindless void where the experts tell us that political feasibility lives to try to craft solutions there. And what's exciting about this push for a Green New Deal is that finally there's a sizable chunk of the climate movement that is saying, we're not going to do that anymore. The call for a Green New Deal, the whole push for it right now, is an insistence that we center the climate conversation in this country firmly on the ground of climate reality, of what actually needs to be done to address this crisis, to defend the rights of young people, to heal the wounds that have been caused by an economy focused on exploitation and extraction, and to provide good, clean water for everyone, clean air for everyone, good jobs for everyone, to really meet the needs of our society. That's where we're going to center the conversation. And we might not have all the answers with that. We might have to make compromises from that position, but that's where we're going to hold the conversation. That has been the demand coming out of this movement. And that's what really creates an opportunity for real hope here, where we've never had hope that starts with the irreality of climate denial or climate apathy or watering down the nature of the crisis. Because there's no way we can get from that point to an adequate solution. So now we're here saying this is where the conversation is going to happen. And if folks want to be a part of that conversation of how we grapple with climate change, they have to be willing to step off that safe territory of climate denial and climate avoidance and apathy and step over to this side of climate reality. And if folks want to disagree with various parts of this deal, they can do so. They can say, maybe everybody shouldn't have a job. Maybe everybody doesn't have a right to clean water. Maybe we can't afford to give young people a right to the kind of stable civilization that old people have had throughout their whole lives. But they have to make those claims from the starting point that we are going to be serious about addressing this crisis and defending the rights of young people. We're no longer going to have the conversation where we have to pretend that political feasibility and maintaining the status quo is more important than young people's lives and young people's rights to a livable future. Yeah. That is what is fundamentally different about this. And that's the leadership that the Sunrise Movement is taking. And I'm glad to see that Brown University is stepping in to that leadership. And now with this resolution and with the bills that are going to result from this research, there's an opportunity for our political leaders to finally step up and join that leadership that is being taken and initiated by the other real leadership institutions in our society. The institutions like Brown and the institutions like the Sunrise Movement and the young people that are fighting for a livable future. That is what is exciting about this moment. And for folks who say they don't really know what the Green New Deal is, that's what it is. It's this moral statement that we are going to have this climate discourse on the grounds of climate reality and on the grounds of young people's right to a livable future. That's where the conversation is going to live from now on. And anybody who wants to be a part of it has to come over to that territory of climate reality. Thank you all for being here.